Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Barkle, thank you. All in favor?
Louder
Thank
so
you.
they can know.
Yeah, okay. Okay, 12.2, Regional Composting Facility petition. Is there anybody here who wishes to bring the petition forward?
No, the petition, all you're doing
Is, oh, this is the last one, yeah. Okay, Council, can we have a
I'll move
receipt,
motion
please?
12.2 as presented.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Peak, thank you. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, 12.3, Mr. Strachan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is an update report on the application for OCP amendment and rezoning for 13610 Banks Crescent. There's some correspondence that was included within the report, as well as the request to council to engage a third-party engineering firm to conduct an independent review of the applicant's proposed aquifer protection strategy. So this would give staff the authorization to go and engage a third party to review what's been conducted as far as reviews and studies and what's been presented as the aquifer protection plan. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Council, any questions of Mr. Strachan? Councillor Booth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The third-party engineering review, the cost of that would be borne by the district.
That's correct.
Do we have any idea how much that might be?
That would be part of the process that we determined is what they would come back to us with an estimate for their cost in order to conduct the review. But it would be a technical review of a document.
Of an existing document.
Of an
yeah.
existing document. So it'd be similar to other reviews we've done, for example, for infrastructure. We engage third-party engineers to review it. This would be a similar undertaking.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Councillor Holmes.
Because we don't know the financial viability of this project, and we won't know until after we meet on Wednesday, shouldn't we wait until then before deciding to spend this money?
Okay.
Anybody?
Mr. Strachan, any concept when you're simply reviewing two other people's reports in a technical review?
We brought this forward at a regular council meeting as part of their update to keep it independent from the committee of the whole meeting, which is taking place on Wednesday. If there was further instructions following that meeting, we would proceed with those instructions. It wouldn't be very far along in the report, of course. We'd be just be having those preliminary discussions with the engineer, and if there was further instruction that came from council. It was just to keep this as part of our updates and a part of this process with freshwater fisheries, independent of that discussion.
But certainly if council wanted to just wait on this until next council meeting, that's fine. That would be fine as well.
Councillor Peak.
Well, I may note that we made a resolution on, I'm going to say January or whenever we did, that we wanted some answers regarding the fisheries, and this is part of that process. If I might also say that in the letter of September 7th from the fisheries, that they do support a third-party review, and they have some direct statements around the things that they need to see answers to in a third-party review. And I don't know whether I necessarily need to read them off, but they want things like some form of site and project specific hazard ID and quantitative and risk assessment. That's on the first page of their letter. On page two, they ask for consideration of off-site of construction activity in areas where the protective area is thinner, particularly where the construction activity is in proximity to the spring, which is recognized in the PITCO report as well. They want the independent review to include unmitigated risk and residual risk. And they want the terms of reference to include the review's consideration of the FFSBC's stated concerns. So in fact, the people that we are in part concerned about are requesting a third-party review. On that basis, I would prefer to see it move forward tonight, because I think that would clarify some questions that not only I have, but council has and the public has.
Yeah, I agree. Anybody else? Any comments? Okay, would someone like to bring a motion?
Could I just ask
Yeah, go ahead.
one other
Yep.
question? This is for you, Mr. Strachan, again. When we, the district or district staff requires a third-party review of, say, a design or engineered drawings or something, I can understand how, because that's something that we want to have done, we pay for it. I'm a little surprised, frankly, that a requirement for this development to move forward, that's not a requirement of ours, but it's requirement of the fish hatchery, that we would be paying for the third-party review.
Mr. Strachan?
So when this first came forward and Freshwater Fisheries brought forward their concerns, council at that point made it part of the review process. So we somewhat incorporated that within our process. So it is our process that this is
Okay.
entertaining for. This is not the Freshwater Fisheries. This is a request they've made. It's not a requirement. It's a request, and council has entertained that to date. So staff, in order to have an independent third party, would engage that third party, and financially they would come from the district in order to get a truly independent third party review.
Thank you. That clarifies it perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Peak.
I have a question, and then I'll bring the resolution
Okay, go
forward.
ahead, yep.
My question is to Mr. Strachan, and it's a more general question, but a particular question because it keeps coming up in many of the correspondence that we receive. If the rezoning was approved, who assumes the risks during construction and after completion of such a project?
The risks with, sorry,
Yeah.
Any risks inherent during construction, that is a slope instability, or any risks after after it was completed or partially completed, who takes the risk and the cost if there's some kind of event?
That's,
it's somewhat open-ended in that it could, I'm not sure what type of event, but there's geotechnical engineers that are doing the design work and provide schedules during construction, if that's what you're referring to.
Right.
So there's a series of schedules that are provided during the construction process for stability and for the infrastructure being designed and installed, and they absorb that responsibility. The district continues to monitor as it progresses, and if issues were identified, we would bring those to the attention of the geotechnical engineer engaged for that
And
application.
just to
So-
take that further, because it's a bit of a risk management question.
It is.
So it would be depending, number one, on who they would sue. So if something happened, there would be legal action taken. And like any legal action, when the district's involved, likely the district would be named as a party in the action. It would depend on if council or the district has taken all of the proper steps in engaging the proper geotechnical engineers and all the things that Mr. Strachan talked about, the risk to the district is minimized, but it never goes away.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. I know it's one that's been put to me more than several times. I will bring the motion forward that the updated report, or the update report dated October 16th in relation to the OCP amendment and rezoning for Banks Crescent be received, and the staff be directed to engage a third-party engineering firm to conduct an independent review of the applicant's proposed aquifer protection strategy.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Barkwell, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Barkwell?
I just want to reiterate that I think all of council felt early on that a third-party review was the essential step here to make sure that the conclusions the engineering firms draw are based on adequate information and met all the professional standards required to make the conclusions they have, and it's a level of assurance that we need. And I think we also discussed making this a requirement for future subdivisions if somehow changing our application rules. Was that
I'm not sure that, I think we're going
can
beyond
we-
this
yeah,
particular
but
question.
I don't know
but-
when it can be brought up, but I'm pretty sure that that was something that we should have somewhere in the works.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, a good procedure, because then you start to eliminate any bias, and this is why the third-party review with us requesting it is more appropriate than either of the other parties. So that's why we ask for this sort of
Yeah,
independent thing, and I agree, you know,
Yeah,
that's a more adequate process.
I think Mr. Strachan mentioned that some communities, they required as part of the application process that the developer will be responsible for the costs. Is that
Mr.
correct?
Mr. Barkwell, I believe that's something I stated that is something that I knew that we had used where it came from.
Yeah.
And it's a policy that requires any third-party review to be paid for by the developer
Mhm.
putting the application forward. We don't have that policy, so
Mhm.
it's not a,
But I'm
and it's
just,
something that perhaps we could look at.
every time it comes up, I'm reminded of that. We, you know, we've got to implement that.
Well, I think what you're saying is asking for a, whatever the issue or development situation, be a third-party review. But I don't believe that you would be asking one of the proponents to pay for it, because immediately that biases the situation. There would be a suspect in terms of, well, if you're paying for it, who gets, if one of the proponents is paying for it, then there goes your bias problem. It's still there.
No. I think Mr. Strachan had a comment on this. Yes. Yeah.
Council has scheduled to review the subdivision and development servicing bylaw
Mm-hmm.
in the coming months, and that would be an opportunity to review
Good.
policy around that component.
Good idea.
Further to what you were saying, that I think it is quite appropriate, and it's done, that the proponent does pay for this review, but we select the engineering firm, and they just pay us the money, then and you know, we give them the
Mhm.
bill basically, and all
Yeah,
contact
that
would be with that.
be more
engineer.
appropriate,
Yeah.
Councillor Trainer.
This may have already been asked, but what is the cost of doing this kind of third-party review, approximately? Oh, did you? Oh, I guess
Yeah,
it was already
it's-
answered, sorry.
It's okay, no, we'll answer it again. It's just it's a matter of us getting them to give an estimate. It's a review, and they give an estimate of what the cost would be, but we're not talking about going and digging new holes. We're talking about reviewing what's been proposed at this point and reviewing the studies that have been
Okay.
prepared,
Thank you.
and providing feedback on those.
Okay, anybody else? Councillor Peak, were you going to bring, or you did
I did bring
you
it forward. We have a
So,
seconder.
Okay. Calling the question, all in favor? None opposed? Thank you. Motion carries, one opposed. Okay, moving ahead to 12.4. Mr. Deniger.
Simply an opportunity for council to accept an updated list of petitions.
Thank you. Council? Councillor Carlson?
I will move 12.4 as presented.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Boot? Thank you. All in favor? Motion carries, none opposed. Thank you very much. CAO 12.5. Rural dividend.
12.5 is just an information report for council on the third intake of the rural dividend fund. Of course, these were two projects that council did visit the minister about at UBCM and had conversations encouraging them to have a good look at our applications. There was two that we submitted in two different categories. Both we were successful. The downtown commercial inventory and development strategy for $10,000 that will augment the money we put in the budget for the downtown plan. And the bigger one, the Giants Head Trails project, in partnership with the Rotary Club of Summerland for $435,000. And as the mayor mentioned in his report, the district has committed $190,000 earlier to that project in budget, and the Rotary is contributing another $100,000. So that will move ahead as soon as the documents are. And that one's great. We have the master plan finished, and this will do a great part of that master plan. So we will start working towards it.
Councillor Carlson, Councillor Holmes? Sorry.
Just want to comment that I think this is going to be a really great project. There's one number error in the report. I don't know if it really matters, but right on the very last point number 5, it just says it's $100,000. It should be $435,000. doesn't really matter, but it might.
Right. The total award from the province was
Yeah. So that's
$435,000.
just- There's just one small
Just-
error.
No, that's right, too.
Thank
Councillor
you.
Holmes.
It's absolutely awesome that we got these grants, that Giants Head Trails project grant especially. I'm just wondering what the process is for now for the Giants Head Trail. We had a public open house, I believe, for it some time ago, and there was lots of comments and some environmental concerns, I believe, and also lots of questions about which trails to close and which to keep open, for what purposes and stuff and like that. So is that master plan, what happens with it now?
I'll have to check with the recreation staff. I thought that it was the draft, then the public consultation, and then it came back for final presentation to council. If it hasn't come back to, changes were made. If it hasn't come back for council's final presentation for acceptance, it will come back for acceptance, and then the Rotary and the district will start working on it. But if it hasn't come back finally, it will come one more time. There were significant changes in the draft of the second plan.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Trainer?
Does the Rec Commission get a chance to review the final copy, or did they get a chance to review the draft?
They had a chance to
They
review
did?
the draft.
And they gave their input?
From what I understand, and again, I'll have to double check with the
Okay.
Recreation Department, but yeah, we're past revisions at this point in
Okay.
time, so
I
they
just
did
haven't
have.
heard from them, so I
yeah,
wanted to make, okay,
yeah.
thanks.
Councillor Peak?
I'm really pleased. This was the second largest award the province gave, and we're very fortunate to have it. The Giants Head Park is one of our gems, and it's really something to look forward to having it created in a different way for great usage.
Okay, would someone like to bring motion forward, please?
I'll bring it forward that the information be received, the
Thank you.
successful applications.
Seconder, please. Councillor Trainer, thank you. All in favor? Motion carries, none opposed. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to 12.6.
Mr. Deniger.
Chris, I think it was
Mr.
Chris.
Deniger.
Oh, Mr. Deniger. Yes.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Johnson, I'm on the wrong one.
Okay,
What's wrong?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Earlier this year, the district collaborated with the RDOS, Penticton, Oliver, Osoyoos, and Karamias on a joint RFP for our curbside collection contract. Back in the summer, we brought the report to council, and Waste Connections of Canada was awarded that work, selected as the successful contractor. We're currently under contract negotiations right now with them. But in order to move forward and further with those negotiations, we need to determine whether we want to proceed with the status quo of our manual collection or move to an automated collection, which would include contractor-supplied carts for recycle, garbage, and for yard waste. So in the RFP, there were two options that were priced, the status quo and the automated. There's a third option that's a potential there where the district could negotiate the outright payment of the carts. However, there's some concerns with this in that the district would take on the responsibility for delivering the carts, implementing the tracking system for them, maintaining them, replacing them if they were broken or stolen, and the public education piece that goes along with the carts as well. With the other municipalities that were involved, Penticton implemented carts back in 2016. Oliver has expressed interest to move to automated, but the other municipalities are going to remain as manual collection. So with that, the contractor, initially the intent of the RFP was that all the municipalities would either go all carts or all automated or stay manual. With there being some variance amongst the group, the contractor is willing to accommodate Oliver's request to go automated if they had someone else that was on that could go along with them, and that specifically be in the district, in that Oliver does a one-day collection and there's 4 days of collection in Summerland, so it would coincide really nicely for the contractor to with the equipment and with the cart rollout to make that work. So they are willing to work with the two municipalities if there's both interest to go that way. So another thing that's worth noting that's in the report is that our contract with Recycle BC expires in November of 2018. Recently, they've indicated that they would like to phase out the use of blue bags for recycling at some point in the term of their next contract. That would leave us with having to amend our collection contract and look at a midstream solution or a midterm solution to deal with that if that's the way they would like to go. So that's just something to consider on where we're looking to move with our curbside collection. So in the report, the options are listed there with the costs associated with each. Looking at the difference between manual and automated, there's about a 24% increase to go to automated, but that is due to the purchase of the carts themselves and spreading that cost over the 7 years of the term. A note in there, if we did go to an automated system, is that yard waste would no longer be unlimited, and that there would be a cart that would be assigned to that stream of the collection as well. However, there are options to go with unlimited collection events during the year periodically, to either in spring or fall or wherever council deems necessary to still provide that unlimited service at specific points. So based on that, the contractor's looking for us to make a decision to go with which collection process in order for them to get geared up with equipment and carts if necessary for July of 2018 when our new contract kicks off.
And I think one of the things that we were talking about amongst staff, Chris, is that although a number of the smaller communities in this area didn't go, Oliver has a strong desire to go automated, that in our initial research, it's a very strong movement throughout the province in rural and urban centres to move to carts. And staff's fear was if we didn't give indication that we're interested in going, that we were going to be far behind when after the lapse of this contract.
Correct.
Okay, questions? I think Councillor Bark was first.
So if Recycle BC says they won't take any more blue bags, does that mean we're forced to go with the automated, with the carts?
No, we would have to negotiate with our contractor an alternative solution, which could be blue boxes, or possibly have a single stream collection where you wouldn't have the mixed collection that you see in the blue bag, but some alternate to collect that and get it out to the curb. But blue bags cause a concern where basically when they go to the recycle center, they need to be removed from that mingled bag, and that's causing some issues on the processing of that recycled material. So that's why they want to move to eliminate that.
And MMBC was never in favor of the blue bags, and not very many municipalities throughout the province went with blue bags, mainly went with blue boxes. So they made it clear right from the start that they weren't interested in continuing any longer than they had to with blue bags.
Would blue boxes be more expensive?
Richard, I'm having trouble hearing
Oh,
you.
sorry,
'cause
would blue boxes be more expensive than the blue bag pickup?
I guess well, we'd have to look at how if the blue boxes were as they are now, like if the boxes were like the bags where they're customer supplied, that would just be a cost put on the customers to provide their own boxes to get them collected. And then we would, or if we looked at an alternative with the contractor of having a supplied cart or a supplied box, then that would be something we'd have to negotiate and look at.
I think we had Councillor Peak and Councillor Carlson. Councillor Booth? Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Peak?
The body mechanics of loading bags or loading blue boxes, it can be quite a stress on the staff that have to do that, whether it's a contractor or your own people. My question about the carts, we have a bear problem, and do carts actually help that problem? Is there any evidence on that?
I guess based on our current collection practices now is that we allow bags to be placed out on the curbside for collection. So having them all in a standardized container would definitely improve any issues that there were. And there's also bear-proof containers that could be investigated and purchased as part of this versus just a standard tote. So there are definitely it would improve the concern of that by having all of that garbage in a container.
Okay. My other question, and I didn't quite get the remark, you said something spread over 7 years. Could you restate that for me?
I guess the capital cost of the carts. So based on the costs that were in the RFP, to purchase the carts for Summerland would be in the order of $680,000. So by including it in the contract, having the contractor provide those carts, that cost is worked into their collection rate over the 7-year term of the contract. So it's not an initial capital hit to the district.
Thank you. And the portion was we got $2.66 per month per household.
That's based on the difference between the manual and the automated, the increase in the collection rates that we would see. And if you applied that to our current
Contract.
Waste utility rate of $11.10, it would be a $2.66 increase per month.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Carlson.
My question was regarding the recycle and the blue bags as well, but I note that if we do an automated system, it would make a lot of sense to have a large recycle container, because as most of us know, we often have a lot more recycle than garbage, and it only gets picked up every other week. So that, I believe, should be considered. I think a blue box wouldn't quite do it, and if we're moving in that direction, then it makes sense to go with this automation. I note there's a cost increase, and I also note that Summerland hasn't, I remember the days when we used to go to the dump every month, and there's a lot of people that still remember that, and it was cheaper, and that is always going to be cheaper for people, and the reality is, though, we want to provide these services, and not everyone has the ability to get to the dump on their own, and garbage and recycle is something that every municipality now does, and so we have to be okay with paying for it, and recycle hopefully will make people realize, like, if the ability to recycle easier and better and without having to go and buy blue bags, hopefully that will also make a difference for people who realize there's an increased cost, but it really isn't that large compared to the benefit that we may be seeing.
Councillor Booth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Johnson, I have a few numbers question. The 489, 453.32, that includes the taxes, right? On top of this, or is that a number that's given assuming that taxes are on top of that?
No, that's the collection rates that are in the contract, which don't include.
So there's no GST on it?
No.
Okay. And then another question I had, if we look at the contractor purchasing the bins for $680,000 over 7 years, so say it's about $100,000 a year.
Right.
Is that $100,000 on top of that 489?
No, that's included.
That's included in
yeah,
that.
That's why there's the difference between the manual and the automated collection prices.
Okay. And in that number, that includes two, what do you call them? Periodic unlimited yard waste events. And then we could add more if we wanted to.
Correct, yeah, that was,
Okay,
that
so
was
there's
just an
two
assumption I
included in
put
that?
there. Yeah, just to note
Okay.
if we went with two, and that it's about $4,200 per event as per the contract.
And we would have 3 carts, right? We'd have a waste one, a recycle one, and a garbage one?
Correct. Yeah.
Every,
So there would be a 120-liter garbage cart that was picked up weekly, and then there would be a 240-liter yard waste and a 240-liter recycling tote that would be picked up alternating.
and we have the option to go to a 360 liter, so a 50% increase?
Yeah, I guess so if we go automated, that's where the details of the program would need
Okay.
to be worked out and brought back to council. The standard
Great.
option would be the 120 and the 240s. But in Penticton, they did offer a larger cart for the services at a surcharge to the customer.
Okay, good, thank you. Oh, one other thing.
Go ahead. Yeah.
This is a quick thing. It's a little bit snarky. But if people put their garbage out at 7 o'clock in the morning, like they're supposed to, we wouldn't have as much of a bear or other animal problem. It's in our bylaw. Just saying.
Okay, Councillor Peak.
Yeah, I can't get my eye on it, but there was here it is. There's a public education piece, and it's noted that there may be staff time and resources be required to complete this, even though the contractor would also be part of it. Are there any concerns around that?
No.
No, it's just of note that between now and July, when we're looking to roll this out, there would definitely be some involvement in staff in those public engagement sessions
Okay.
and to educate them on the use of carts and what they can expect.
We just wanted to point it out because we feel it's a critical component of it.
It is. It's very important to make it that people understand the usage and the benefits and all those good things and what not to put in them.
Councillor Holmes.
First, I'd just like to note that all of our council, in fact, at their last meeting, voted against going to carts? They didn't express
Was
interest
that this evening then?
No, Oliver Council,
2 weeks ago? They
no,
voted against.
Oliver Council originally voted to go to carts, and then they were told that Summerland was not, so they voted against it, and tonight at an earlier meeting, they voted to go for it again, and are 100% for it.
Okay. I'll just read the minutes of the meeting. I'd just like to ask what the purpose of the onboard cameras and the radio frequency tags are. What does what of those two technologies?
So the RFI tags allow us to tag a barcode to a resident, so they know that when they go and pick up the cart, it reads the RFI reader reads the tag, knows what date and time that cart was collected. And it also helps identify if they get lost or stolen or misplaced, which one is assigned to which resident. And the onboard cameras have the ability of taking a picture of the load as it's being dumped. So to then go back on issues with contamination or hazardous materials or materials that shouldn't be in your garbage, but with the recycling to look at a picture of the load and to then start enforcing or educating the public on contamination on materials that shouldn't be in their recycling. It allows the ability to do that.
The penalties for MMBC for contaminated materials, the potential penalties to the municipality are really high. They've been lax as they introduce the MMBC program, but it's getting more and more firm that and the contracts that came out, I can't remember what the numbers are now, but if they were fully enforce them, they're quite they are very high.
Yeah, and just follow up. Who owns that data then? Who has control of it? And who has access to it?
Well, the contractor would manage that system, but we would have access to that data. So for us to look at bylaw ways to enforce that, we would work with the contractor to have access to that information for sure.
And I think further to that question, we would have to look at the parameters in the contractual information, just as far as freedom of information and protection of privacy. And they're in the business of working with municipalities, so we haven't got to that level of detail yet, but we would definitely before signing any contract with that.
And just one note on the recycle contamination too. Yeah, our Recycle BC target is 3%. Currently, we're around 11 or 12%. One thing of note, though, that a trend that you see when you do go to carts is that will increase initially, upwards of 5 or 6%. Just now, you have this larger bin, it's supplied. Maybe people that didn't recycle now are, and it's also hidden amongst that. So definitely that education piece following to ensure that we aren't contaminating our recycled loads will be very important.
Councillor Carlson.
I put the motion on the table if no one has any more questions.
Yes.
That the implementation of an automated collection system for solid waste, recycle, and yard waste collection by July 2018 be approved, and that the contract negotiations be based on the automated collection system of contractor-supplied cart at an estimated annual cost of $489,000 or so.
Okay. Seconder, please. Councillor Boot, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Holmes.
No, I'm not going to be very popular here. I'd just like to quickly go through the pros in the Schedule A there. I think the ultimately reducing the cost of collection, that's kind of hypothetical in my books. I don't think it's going to reduce the cost at all ever. And the reality is we're paying $90,000 a year more, and that's a lot. Improve the safety of contractor staff. I think that's a benefit to the contractor, and it's the main reason this is being done. And so I think the contractor should pony up some of this costs because they're benefiting. When we talk about optional cart sizes to meet the needs of residents, right now, having two sides of carts, I don't think is really providing consumer choice. I think it's informing conformador, making people conform, and people right now have a choice. They can own a cart if they want. They can go buy a cart if they want. They can put out bags, cans, whatever they want. I think we all have an elderly neighbor. I certainly do. She puts out one little kitchen catcher everything, and now she's going to have to haul a big cart down her driveway. We have the choice of putting out as much yard waste as we want right now, and now we're going to be limited to to an absolutely enormous can which nobody can maneuver, not even, I have a hard time maneuvering them. So product standardization, it limits consumer choice. It does, I don't care what you say, it doesn't do the opposite. Encouraging recycling, as the director of Works said, it actually encourages contamination when recycling to begin with, and that's the reason we have the camera surveillance to counter that. And the onboard camera tracking system, it does raises questions of privacy. Maybe it's inevitable, we'll all live in a surveillance society, but there's many people who changed careers back in the 90s and went to work in the IT industry, and we kind of made a pledge to ourselves that we're not going to be complicit in this, and so I just I'm keeping that pledge. I don't want to see that come along. We say there's wheels for easy movement, but then on the cons it recognizes bulky and difficult to maneuver. I don't think it's possible to be both easy to move and difficult to maneuver at the same time. Improve streetscapes, I suppose, if you like the look of big bulky plastic containers. And creates unity and fairness. I don't really know what that means, but I don't think it's fair to ask people to pay more for what's a reduced service.
Thank you for your considered opinion. Councillor Barkle.
Until this, when I read over the reports and considered it and thought about the meeting the open house that the RDOS put on where they presented these carts, I was quite surprised at that time how unpopular the carts were. And hadn't realized that I thought maybe because you see them in the big cities, that they were something better. But so many people said they didn't like the thought of having to drag a big cart to the end of their driveway and such. That and then you add the cost. Like, what are we raising the cost for? Hard to perceive the benefits. So I was pretty convinced that we should go with the status quo. And then Councillor Carlson pointed out that if we do have to go to the blue boxes, they're not really a very adequate solution. Probably have to have like 3 blue boxes stacked up for your recycling. Yes, thank you. And you knew what I was thinking. And then Councillor Holmes reiterates all his points. So I think I lean back to let's state the status quo for as long as we can, and then deal with the blue lacquer, the inability to use the blue bags anymore cross that bridge when we get to it.
Interesting. We could go to blue boxes, and without wheels, of course, and a blue box that would handle yard waste would be substantial, but I'm sure you'd be able to manage that. Councillor Traynor.
If we go to the automated system, does everybody, is it all or nothing?
Yeah, you can't
It
have a
is.
mixture of bags and containers.
Okay, no, I was just asking.
Yeah.
Because if there are certain circumstances, I was wondering if maybe those people wouldn't need one. But
Well,
if it's all or nothing, that's fine.
Yeah. You're also still free to fill your trailer up with yard debris and take it out, as people do as well. So, is there anybody else? Any comments?
I just
Councillor
have a
Boog.
question of Mr. Johnson. How long is the contract?
7 years.
Oh, 7 years. Wow.
Okay, Councillor Peak.
I have a comment. A lot of our driveways are long, a lot of them are very steep. When you're short and getting older, it is harder to manage these carts. They can be quite heavy. Has there been any, and I know they're standardized for the way they load, is there any investigation as to the weight? Because some of them I've seen are a lot heavier than others, so I'm not quite, I saw them at different open houses. I just wondered if there's been any research done.
Yeah, I guess, working with the contractor on looking at the carts that are supplied, I believe there's 3 cart manufacturers in the States and Canada, one that's Canadian and 2 within the States. So they are somewhat of a standardized design as far as the weight of them, the wheel size, and the ability to move them. The comments about long driveways in rural areas, that's fair. Some of the research we did, though, specifically in the RDCO, They implemented it back in 2009, and initially there was a lot of pushback, change, how are they going to deal with this? That quickly went away from all the comments and issues that they received from their residents on that. Now they love them, and there's always that push
Transition.
for change that's going to have those bumps, but they've been accommodated and used in a variety of circumstances and a variety of weather conditions, and they work well. And
That's the reason that the staff's recommendation ended up being that recommending that we went to carts is because of the feedback that we've also heard in other municipalities that when you're actually working them, that the thought that the elderly person couldn't take their small bag in the cart, that they actually, that it was a positive experience rather than a negative one.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Carlson?
Just make a note on that as well. I know that there's one of our neighbors, they leave their carts sort of hidden in the bushes at the end of the driveway, and they just bring their garbage down and put it in the cart every week. And so there are creative ways to work around long driveways in certain circumstances. So I think that it's worth considering.
Are we ready to move ahead, council? Someone like to bring a motion
is here.
forward, please?
It's here.
You got it
Just call
already?
the question.
I keep forgetting that. Okay, it's been seconded? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries, thank you. Okay, moving ahead to 12.7, Mr. Deniger.
So staff are bringing this to council's attention. We're looking for direction regarding possibility for action against the owners of 902 Lighthouse Landing who have been found to be in breach of covenant for some protected trees. When the Lighthouse Landing development was under consideration from council, one of the negotiated terms was that in exchange for removal of a significant number of trees in that area, some of the more mature trees would be protected by a Section 219 covenant placed on title of the properties. There's a picture of roughly what it looked like prior to development. In June this summer of 2017, a bylaw officer for the district discovered that the trees that were protected, there's a picture of them protected during the development, had been topped. So this was done without the permission of the district, in direct violation of the covenant. There were some reasons given by the owners, but the evidence of communication with them doesn't bear out their arguments. We have since received a photograph just this morning. This is now what it looks like. Again, the remaining portions of the trees were removed against covenant, and a wall is being put up. So this has had significant impact on the environment in the area, both ecologically and aesthetically. All the greenery is gone. So staff have attempted to negotiate some form of compensation from the owners to regreen the area, but it has failed. So we're looking for council's direction on either continuing and trying to take some perhaps legal action or to not do anything.
And it's noted, I think, in Mr. Deniger's report that we had a similar incident with the neighbors who also removed their trees. We did negotiate a settlement with them with the intent of having a plan to build to replant trees off of their property on the municipal side of the property with a grander plan. Unfortunately, with the floods this year, staff got delayed in making this plan, but the idea of the negotiation of a monetary fine is there's nothing we can do to put the trees back in that covenant. Once they've taken them out of the covenant, you can't just insist that they're replanted there. By taking a monetary settlement gives us funds that we can re-green the area, keep it under the district's control, and put the proper irrigation, et cetera, that's needed in there to keep it going.
Any other questions? Councillor Peak.
I'd like to bring the motion
Okay,
forward.
thank you.
That the owners of Lighthouse, 902 Lighthouse Landing be advised further action will be taken in respect to the unlawful removal of trees protected under the covenant and registered against the title, and that staff be directed to explore legal recourse to remedy the breach of covenant.
Seconder, please. Councillor Holmes. Any further discussion? Councillor Trainer.
I support this because I feel that this kind of action is like a complete disregard for the covenants that we have and for the environmental standards that Summerland tries to uphold and for the district and for everybody that lives in that community and valued the trees and the environmental, the value that they have for that area. So, I mean, when these properties sold, everybody knew that that covenant was on there. They knew when they built the buildings that those trees were protected, and so it's just really frustrating to see this. So I think that we have to do something because otherwise it could happen again.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. None opposed. Thank you very much. 13.1, Mr. Strachan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one sec, I'll get the presentation going. So the application is for an OCP amendment and rezoning for two properties on Elliott Street. And you'll note in your package that there's 3 properties that actually form part of the proposed development. One of them already carries the appropriate OCP designation and zoning. The application is to have the 2 adjacent properties to it, which appear to the west of the property that's already zoned, in order to have the 3 lots put together and create a 14-unit townhouse development. So the OCP amendment is to change the designation of 2 of the parcels to medium density and to rezone those 2 parcels to also to residential medium density to match the adjacent 3rd parcel, put the 3 parcels together and make a 14-unit townhouse development. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions, Council, Mr. Strachan? Councillor Peak.
Could you let me know, I think those lots are very deep, but can you give me the distance from Elliott back to the end of the lot?
meters, 200 feet.
I couldn't read very well.
200.
200 feet.
Thank you. These will have parking on site then?
The bylaw would require them to have on-site parking and be incorporated into garage as well as parking at the rear of the property.
So you'll drive in the middle and you have your parking along the way? It's hard to
So
see
you have
this thing.
the central, it doesn't come
PS
great.
garage and PS parking, I think.
That's
Right.
correct. So you have a central entranceway corridor. So you can see the buildings are on either side of an
Yeah.
entranceway.
Yeah.
There's also parking at the back behind the buildings, which is shown as additional parking.
Looks like a great opportunity. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Councillor Carlson.
I would like to bring forward the motion 13.1 rezoning application for Lot D DL 3640 on Elliott Street as presented.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Barkle.
Can I
thank
bring
you.
forward all 3 of them?
Yes. Okay. Any further discussion? Councillor Peak.
I think this is an opportunity for the community to have redevelopment that will fit within the values, and the fact that it will allow for those residences to have walkability in our downtown community is a great opportunity. So I'm very pleased to see it come forward.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. All question, all in favor? Okay. None opposed. Motion carries. Thank you. On to 13.2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an
Just- just a
application.
minute. Councillor Carlson. I mean, Trainer, sorry.
I'm just going to step out because this
Oh, of
property
course.
is owned by the Summerland Credit Union and I have a marketing contract with them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll wait till. Mr. Strachan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The subject application is for an OCP amendment and rezoning application for a group of properties on Kelly Avenue. The application is for the development of 4 parcels, which previously had single-family dwellings. And the proposal is to re-subdivide these 4 parcels into 9 single-family lots, each with single-family on the main floor and a second floor with a secondary suite in the basement. The application would see the redesignation of the first parcels, which are currently commercial, and we've outlined some components of rationale around that component, as well as would see the rezoning of all of these parcels to a comprehensive development zone, which is a specialized zone for this area, which is incorporated into your package and is labeled as Figure 4, CD9. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Questions of Mr. Strachan? Mr. Holmes, Councillor Holmes, sorry.
So I noticed most of them have parking in the back, but the last 3 have parking in the front. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So is that because the lane only extends? Yeah, I see. Yeah, 'cause the lane only goes, so you can't have parking in the back for all of them. Is that correct?
There's a single-family dwelling parcel here, which the future of this lane would also be limited by the elevation. This end point of the lane adjacent to Shoppers Drug Mart is at a higher elevation than the lot behind it. So you would have to reconstruct that lane from a point further back if you were to continue in the future. And of course, there's an existing single-family dwelling that would block that component.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Peak.
Yeah, this is even an odd question to say, but I'll just ask it. We like the idea of secondary suites. These will be constructed with the opportunity for a secondary suite. Does that mean that whoever buys the unit has to have a secondary suite? Or might they decide, well, I've got a bigger family, I'm going to need it for my rec room space or whatever? I mean, part of it is for us at council table is that we see the need for housing, and secondary suites help to provide that. This is a great location, so.
The applicant has indicated that these are purpose-built, so they intend on constructing all of these 9 units. So they're proposing to construct them in that format. That wouldn't obligate a property owner to make a decision to not have their secondary suite rented out. They may have a family member or somebody else utilize that component. But they're intended to be purpose-built with the secondary suite with them.
And I understand they can be a good mortgage helper and all those things. It was just a question that occurred to me when I was studying the plan.
Councillor Barkle and Councillor Boot.
The question, Mr. Mayor, is to Dean Strachan. The accessory uses in this proposed zoning says that carriage houses would be permissible. So does that mean without any further applications other than a building permit, you could have 3 units on each location, a carriage house, a secondary suite, and the primary residence?
No, you only are permitted to have 1 secondary suite, so it would be either a carriage house, so you'd reduce your square footage of the main building to make it a smaller home, because these are quite small lots. You would shrink that house up, and it would not be permitted to have a secondary suite in it. The secondary suite would instead be in the accessory building at the rear. So you can't have both, you can only have one or the other.
Okay, I didn't read that from there, but I recognize there's a certain size limitation on that too. And also permitted is a group home minor. What does that entail?
Group home minor is group home as a definition under the health regulations is a group of adult care or other care facility that's regulated through Interior Health.
Through Interior Health,
Yeah.
Okay. So it couldn't be like the Elizabeth Fry Society or something? Elizabeth, they couldn't be, it has to be an Interior Health project. It couldn't be, yeah.
No, it could be a private group home. It wouldn't
So
have to be.
What
through
we're
a
doing now, Councillor Barkle, is delving into what a comprehensive development zone is, in this case. So we're getting off the.
No, this is what could be permitted uses within the proposed zone.
In
Yeah.
those particular houses?
Yeah.
Councillor, I
So
mean,
what we've done is the CD zone itself is based on the single-family residential zone. So if you look at any of the zoning districts, the RSD1, RSD2, RSD3, these are the allowable uses within our standard single-family. So this is the allowable uses that would be within the neighborhood. The only use that we removed that wouldn't appear in those zoning districts was bed and breakfast.
Okay. So is the, are you essentially saying that any one of those uses in the, that comprehensive development zone could be applied to this particular development?
These uses, this proposed use list would be the same use as the neighborhood would have on any of the other single-family dwellings in the neighborhood.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Boot?
You may have already answered this. Are we looking at a CD zone because they're purpose-built, single-detached homes with secondary suites? Is that why we're looking at a CD zone?
We're looking at a CD zone more in line with the size of the lots and the setback provisions. So these are smaller than RSD1I would allow for, simply to get 9 within the 4 lots. So there's a smaller lot component, as well as the components to bring the buildings further forward to give good street presentation and to push the parking to the rear. So the other component of this zoning bylaw, the CD zone, requires that where there's lane access, that you access your parking only from the rear. So that we maintain the sidewalk without driveway for that full length where it's applicable. The last 3 lots, of course, we don't have a lane there, so they are allowed to have front driveway access. Fortunately, that takes us a significant distance down the block without having any driveways interfering with the pedestrian sidewalk.
Thanks.
Councillor Barkle?
Yes, perhaps you can't answer this question, Mr. Strachan, but did the developer give any consideration to like townhouses or strata units and instead of wasting that space between each skinny little unit?
Mr. Mayor, that there is a number of components that have been looked at this property. This is the proposal is the type of unit that they wish to construct. The actual density, and it's spoken to in a report, when you have 9 units with 9 suites, you actually obtain a higher level of density than you would with townhouses, simply because of the configuration. You can't have a secondary suite in a townhouse. It's another residential unit. It's under building code, you can't have a secondary suite. So by doing this type of configuration, you actually get a higher level of density, but you maintain that single-family structure that fits well with the surrounding neighborhood and its proximity to the school. It still gives you that single-family neighborhood street appearance and street connectivity without going to a multifamily structure, which can sometimes create a disconnect with the adjacent roadway.
Councillor Holmes and Councillor Peak?
I'd just like to point out to Councillor Barkwell that not everybody wants to live in a townhouse. I think with the last 2, this one and the one before, it's finally the market is doing what we all want it to be doing and giving us a good diversification of different types of places.
Thank you. Councillor Peak?
Thank you. Great observation, and one I was going to make as well. The other question I had is that this will have DCC charges. Does it also have an amenity contribution, and it will have a park dedication portion as well?
The subject lots do not have a park area within the parks master plan, so they would be asked at subdivision to contribute 5% instead. We would likely, approving officer would request a cash in lieu component because there isn't a portion of these properties that fits within our plans for a park space. Because of the size, it would be a fairly small space at 5%. And those DCCs would also be applicable at subdivision. There are some credits for the existing homes that would be applied.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else? Okay, moving along. Would someone like to bring the motion forward as written, please? Councillor Peak?
Yeah, I'll bring the motion forward for 13610 and 13620 Kelly Avenue.
Thank
For
you.
a
As
change
written?
of density.
As written.
And all 3 points,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Boot, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Barkle.
I think that Mr. Holmes' report, or comment is well taken. It's a good observation that we got a townhouse and a single family the same night to be brought forward. I just think that it's a little bit of a risk to see these very skinny houses on 25-foot lots, but we'll see what it turns out.
Councillor Peak.
Nice to see movement in the market so people have confidence that they're doing things on land that in some cases has been banked for some while. So I'm very pleased to see the community moving forward with some of the actions.
On top of that, we've been wanting more affordable units, family-style units, center of town, across from the school. I don't think it gets any better than that. Okay, thank you. Ready? Call a question? I guess,
Yeah.
okay, all in favor? Okay, motion carries, none opposed? Starting to question myself. 13.3.
Just wait till Aaron.
Oh, sorry. Someone call Aaron back in.
He's gone.
Okay. Okay, moving ahead to 13.3. That's Mr. Strachan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a zoning bylaw text amendment brought forward by staff. So staff has indicated to councilors in the summertime, we're undertaking a housekeeping review of the zoning bylaw. As a part of that housekeeping review, we identified a number of issues around carriage homes and secondary suites. But we felt that component, we felt it should possibly be drawn out and be independently presented to council, as it does have, it's beyond the scope of general housekeeping. So we felt it would be separated in the report and brought forward independent of the general housekeeping report, which will come to the next council meeting. So the proposal includes a number of additional zones where secondary suites would be permitted, as well as the removal of some components that were in conflict with the building code, as well as some components that were somewhat redundant based on building code. The bigger components related to allowing secondary suites in the A1 zoning district were also brought forward to the Agricultural Advisory Committee. They did request a second component of it, that provided that the property has farm status. Staff have not recommended that component be included due to the difficulty in maintaining and monitoring that, and trying to sort out a way in order to remove a secondary suite because they haven't gone forward with farming in one particular year. So the recommendations are presented to council for those text amendments to the zoning bylaw, which would increase the number of parcels within the community that would allow secondary suites, as well as carriage homes, and increase the number of those units being created. As the impact is not anticipated to be as great as it would be if we were looking at smaller zoning districts, and that we're looking at adding this use to larger parcels. So the inclusion of it on larger parcels, if it was going to be adding it to an RSD1 or some other zoning district that had small parcels, there would be an anticipation of higher concerns for impact. It's also noted that the Agricultural Land Reserve allows for secondary suites. The only reason they're not permitted at this point is the zoning bylaw doesn't include it as an allowable use. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions for the housekeeping thing? Anyways?
I just have a couple of questions about the secondary suites on A1 land. So these are, the secondary suites are allowed, but the carriage houses are not, is that right? Like it wouldn't be a separate, like, accessory building, it would have to be a secondary suite that would be part of the house as it stands now?
Yeah, and
Is that the difference?
The proposal being is a secondary suite under lands that are under the Agricultural Land Commission must be in the single-family dwelling. So it
Okay.
can't be as a
Good.
separate carriage house.
Perfect.
The only provision for that type of accommodation would be if it was a farm help dwelling.
Yes.
So in that particular zoning district, at some point in the future, we may ask council to consider having separate zoning districts for ALR lands versus agricultural lands that are not in the ALR. But at this point, they're combined, so that provision is the limiting factor.
Okay, and my second question is the secondary suites could be I guess the tenant or the person living in there, or the couple or family, they don't have to be family members. Like this could be a mortgage helper, whatever.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, these are the sort of things I was hoping that we would get in our housing report, housing affordability report, and things like how we can encourage carriage housing. And I don't know if this falls under this bylaw, but would you also be looking at things like, for example, carriage housing isn't allowed on lots that have septic, is that correct? And is that something worth reviewing, and if so, would it fall under this, or would that be a separate thing altogether?
The proposal is to allow for it in zoning districts that do have septic. The provision was removed from parcels that generally did not have septic. The requirements for you to obtain a building permit would require you to certify your septic field that that your lot is large enough and your field is adequate to accommodate both the single-family dwelling and the secondary suite. So there is provisions within Interior Health's regulations to allow for that. This revision to the zoning would allow for that to take place, but you would still need to meet those criteria set out by Interior Health to have an adequate septic field in order to accommodate it.
Okay.
Councillor Peak.
You may have answered this in a roundabout way, but I'm going to ask it because it was asked of me. How does the 1 hectare policy work with this amendment?
So I think you're referring to the 1 unit per hectare provision for the septic fields. A secondary suite or a carriage house, which is a secondary suite, are not actually considered an independent residential unit per se. They don't form part of the density within the OCP, and by definition, they're required to be a part of a primary use, which is a single-family dwelling. So the single-family dwelling is the unit, same as farm help buildings or other auxiliary uses. They don't count towards that. So it's still, if you have a single-family dwelling with a secondary suite in it, it's still, although it has 2 households, 1 residential unit for that purpose. So that's the way the OCP is established for density calculations, and the way it's handled through zoning is you have a primary and accessory use, secondary suite and carriage homes as an accessory use.
I really appreciate that. I might ask for it to be repeated in a couple of years from now when I still don't understand it. That's good. We talk about country residential. Can you tell me the size of country residential?
The specific zoning district is you're asking for what's
Yeah,
minimum lot size?
CR1 country residential. And it says secondary suites are already listed as an accessory use in the CR1 zone.
So the minimum parcel size within that is 1 hectare for that.
Okay. Again, it's just education for me. I certainly.
It is noted, though, that just because it's the minimum lot area within the zoning district doesn't mean that there is CR1 parcels in the community that are less than 1 hectare in size. They would have been created under previous provisions. So this provision only really applies to subdivisions. So you can't create a CR1 parcel that's less than 1 hectare in size. But there are parcels in the community that are under that size. And those are the parcels where the secondary component of getting Interior Health's approval for the septic field would come forward. So even though the use is allowed within the zoning bylaw, in order to obtain a building permit, you have to have verification that you can have a septic field that's adequate for both a single family and a secondary suite, and then would be required to install such.
And if I might, it's a septic field. You don't have to have a replacement area for a septic field. You just have to have a septic field. I know that's not your area, so.
Yeah, they normally require you to demonstrate that you have a secondary field location on the site as part of those provisions.
That's interesting. I might argue that one. Okay, I won't argue it tonight. It talks about the zoning section currently allows secondary suites to 50% of the gross floor area. However, the BC code only allows a maximum of 40%. Is that a change? Did the BC building code change? Like, were we in compliance with 50%, or were we at least complimentary at that one point and then it changed?
No, it should have always been 40%.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, are we ready to proceed? Councillor Holmes?
I move that zoning bylaw text amendment bylaw number 2017-032 to amend the zoning bylaw on carriage houses and secondary suites be introduced and given first and second reading, and that a public hearing be scheduled for November 14th, 2017 to receive public feedback on bylaw number 2017-032.
Seconder, please. Counselor Boot, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Motion carries, none opposed. Now, council, at the pace we're going right now, we're going to be extending past 10 o'clock.
What?
You got one
We
thing
have
left.
one thing in
We
the
have council
adoption.
reports, we have public question period.
We've got 14.1 right now.
I know.
I think we can make it.
Yeah, we can do
You
it.
think we
can
can?
do it.
Even at the
Staying
pace we've
past
been
10.
going?
Let's review it in 10 minutes.
Okay, we'll
This is
review
an
it in 10
adoption.
minutes. Okay, 14.1.
This is just bylaw simply here, permissive tax exemption bylaw for consideration of adoption.
Counselor Holmes.
I move that permissive tax exemption 2017 places of worship bylaw amendment bylaw number 2017-029 be adopted.
Seconder, please. Counselor Peak. Are you
I'm
seconding?
seconding it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor? Amazing, thank you. Motion carries. Okay, we're moving on to council reports. Counselor Trainer.
I just have one thing to report. We held the 10th Trout Creek Community Cleanup yesterday. It was a beautiful day on Sunday. We got 15 bags of garbage, which is down from our usual 30 or 20 or 30 bags. So either people are throwing less garbage out the window or I don't really know. But anyway, it went really well, and thank you.
Counselor Barco.
No report.
Thank you. Counselor Booth.
I also just have one thing to report. On behalf of the mayor, I attended an announcement on Friday of the $500,000 grant that has been awarded to Rails to Trails, Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association. That's a biggie.
It is, for
Yes.
sure.
Wonderful.
It's interesting that we were, with our grant, just behind that,
I
not very
know.
far. Counselor Carlson.
I don't have much to report. As most of you know, my daughter Elsa was born 7 weeks ago tomorrow, and she had her first bottle tonight, and apparently it went well, so hopefully she's sleeping when I get home.
Counselor Holmes.
No report.
Counselor Peak.
No report. Glad to have you back, Aaron.
Thank you. Okay, now we have an opportunity for the public to speak. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Carol McKenzie. I don't think we're getting our money's worth from the 2 electronic signs that we have on the entrance to the town on Highway 97. I did a little survey. I was prepared to sit for an hour, but after 6 minutes, the messages were repeated. And I only learned 3 things: that we were going to have a hockey game, that we had the KVR, that we had thrift and antique shops. All the other messages were instructive. They were hike our trails, explore Summerland. Summerland invites you. It didn't tell me anything. And I think we could really support the businesses if they could have some sign time. Yeah. So my survey, I sat mid-morning one day, noon one day, and early afternoon one day, and it was still all the same signs. 12 signs, 30 seconds per sign. Yeah, I think the businesses, if they were asked, would you like to say something in 4 words? It'd be very creative, or use our local authors. Yeah, and I'm speaking just as a citizen. I'm not directly involved.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Kathy Smith, Aileen Avenue. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the staff under Ms. Tynan's direction for collecting all of the information that we forwarded to the councillors and making it available on the summerland.ca website. I visit the website often. I've encouraged every citizen I talk to in Summerland, which has been considerable in the last several months, to visit your website to stay informed. And I think this would be an excellent opportunity in the future, given the number of people who have newly arrived to Summerland and those of us who have been here for over 40 years, to continue talking about this issue of waste management in our community and the direction we want to go in the future, and using your public as a gift for engagement, and perhaps an opportunity like we had a session for the future of our recreation services, our future with cultural development in this community. I think it's a resource that would be ready to work with any or all of you or your staff to engage in this very important discussion. I know the developer that was just sitting beside me, Mr. Traynor, indicated when I spoke with him that he will be initiating as part of his design process and his development, because of all of this in smaller development happening, we do need to have a waste management policy in our building process that is aesthetically pleasing and combined, so that you don't have each little tiny little unit or suite with all of these carts sitting in front. So I think everything's connected, everything changes. Pay attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Mary Ann McDonald, 605 McDonald Place. Mrs. Peak, Councillor Peak earlier asked who would be responsible if there was issues with the building for Banks Crescent, and I would like to have that clarified, because I understood it to be the proponent and maybe the city, and having read both the geotech engineers, and I read both the geotech engineer and the hydrology reports, and there are caveats at the end of it, which exonerates them from any responsibility of any problems. So who is actually responsible?
I think we'll carry that question. We're not in a discussion and answering
No.
questions right now.
No, I was just wanting it clarified as to what
Yeah.
you said. What was said was the geotech engineers were responsible and partly the staff? Is that what was said?
Yeah, go
From
ahead.
tonight?
Yeah, sorry.
What I was referring to was a more general, when there's a development that happens, any development, whether it's Banks Crescent or any others, where we issue building permits or we issue development variance permits, et cetera, that if there is a lawsuit, almost always in a municipality, the municipality would be named in the lawsuit. The amount of liability that the district carries depends on the procedures that we follow and whether or not we do due diligence, and geotechs can't get out of being responsible in the end in the work that they do and what's relied on. So there's no easy answer to it. It's that's a risk in any development that we have. So all that we can do is try to follow our procedures and best practices as best as we can. If council approves things, risk management is part of what they will have. Ultimately, when it comes time for a decision, they need to weigh that risk management out on knowing that there'll always be some potential risk to them.
That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, Mrs. Wall.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and elected officials. At the Council of the Whole meeting scheduled for this Wednesday evening, City staff are to present what the cost of developing Banks Crescent will be to us, the taxpayers of Summerland. With so much talk by some of how much revenue this development of Banks Crescents would bring into this town, I wonder if those people have stopped to think. Is LARC hiring local cement contractors for this 5-building megastructure? Will LARC be buying their framing timber supplies and the roofing tiles they need at Timber Mart? Will all the electrical, wiring, plumbing, sinks and toilets be purchased at Summerland's Home Hardware? The food to feed these dependent seniors, is St. Elizabeth's going to purchase it from Nesta's, IGA, or our local fruit growers? The pharmaceuticals, will they come from our medicine shop or PharmaSave? When we stop and think about it, we have to really think, where is this ton of money that we're all, or some of us are getting so excited about? Where is it going to come from, and how much employment will they really be in the long term? I'm also wondering, has the loss of tax revenue due to housing values in the immediate neighbourhood being decreased been factored into any equation yet? No answer. And just one other note, on the other meeting last week, 2 weeks ago, regarding the Cedar Avenue subdivision, Mr. Strachan admitted that there had been a ripple effect in this area of town, and I'm wondering if Banks Crescent gets rezoned to high density level 8, would that not allow for a ripple effect in Lower Town as well? Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anybody else like to speak? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councilors. My name is Richard Gallant. I introduced myself to you a couple months ago when I introduced CSI Summerland. I'm just here today to tell you that we're still alive and well. In those 2 months, we've gathered together about 60 members. When we talk to the community, we get a sense that they're both the residents and the business owners. We get a sense that there's a lot of support for this project, the LARC project, and it continues to give us energy to continue what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else like to speak?
I'll be quick. I'm here from the Summerland Skate Park Committee. We're a volunteer community organization. My name's Eric Thompson, and we would like to let you know that we are fundraising. It's a big task. We have $145,000. We need to raise, well, the total amount is $600,000. The $135,000 that we did originally get came from the Penny Lane Shop Society, which was much appreciated. But tomorrow we're going to release a video. It's a short video, pretty entertaining, and that will explain to people in Summerland and the region why we think we need a skate park. So we're hoping you'll get a chance to watch it. It will be on YouTube, Facebook, and there should be a link through the district website as well. And our next meeting is November 16th. It's open to the public, 7 o'clock at the Summerland Arts Center. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you. Press. Anybody, any questions? John, Susan? Okay. Thank you very much. Could I have a motion for adjournment, please? Councillor Holmes, Councillor Peak, all in favor? Thank you.